You're listening to the Weekend Sport Podcast with Jason Pine from News Talk ZB. New All Blacks coach Scott Robertson taking your calls on 0800 80 1080 on Weekend Sport with Jason Pine and GJ Gardner-Holmes, New Zealand's most trusted home builder. News Talk ZB.
Yes, it is. Welcome back into the show. This is Weekend Sport on News Talk ZB, coming to you live from the wonderful New Zealand campus of Innovation and Sport, 1:07. I'm Jason Pine. It is a great pleasure to welcome in the man who, as I said before, 1 o'clock, many believe has the biggest job in New Zealand, not the Prime Minister, but the coach of the All Blacks, Scott Robertson, is here. Nice to see you, Razor. How are you?
Good afternoon. Good to be in the hut, and thanks for having me on, Jason.
It's great to have you with us. I've got a bunch of questions. You'll have some as well. 9292 for the text or 0800 80 1080. Scott's happy to take some of your calls and questions. You were appointed All Blacks coach on the 21st of March 2023. You finally got your hands on the squad. How were the 466 days in between?
Obviously, had a few games in between that before, my last one down with the Crusaders, and spent the off-season painting, getting all the selection of the staff, the coaching group, management group, finalise how we're going to play, and then had a whole super season to select, and what a season it's been. Some great names been put up through their performances, and over that period of time, that year that you've had, because I've been coaching back to back over a long period of time. It was good just to sit back and reflect and make sure you plan for the biggest year ever. 14 tests, 9 of them away. So it's good to get some players in front of you, though.
I was going to ask that, because how challenging has it been, given the comparison to the last 6-7 years or whatever it's been when you were as the Crusaders coach? You see your players week in, week out. You've got a game on the weekend. How challenging has it been to be patient and wait to get your hands on your team?
Look, because you've got them for a short period of time, you've got that 10 days before you play, you've got all these ideas, you've got all these thoughts, how you're going to beat England, but how do you put it off across simply enough so you give them enough, not too much, not too little, that's a fine balance in the art of it. So we've got a lot of experienced players. We've talked to them. We've covered up day by day. We've got to have a check. You've got to get every day right, not just the 10 days. You've got to get every day right. That's the first thing we focused on. How do we own our own areas? And then the connection piece. And we'll talk about NZCIS when we're out here. This is the perfect place to do it. Yeah,
it's a terrific facility. In terms of coming up with your squad, let's talk a little bit about that, the first squad that you picked. Did you come up with a game plan first and then select the players to implement that game plan? Or did you look at the New Zealand elite rugby landscape and say, right, I've got those guys, here's the plan they might be able to implement? Which way around was it?
I think it's a combination of both. To beat the team in front of you, your ability to adapt. If you're going to play really confronting, head-on game, go through teams or go around teams, you've got to be able to do both. And I think that's what we've done over the years, haven't we? Got a high skill set. We're physical. Can offload in the tackle. We can go through. We've got a great set piece. We've got some. A really balanced group. And then it's how you manage the game and who's in front of you. We know that, England style, they're a precious side. They kick, they try and win the air and the ground on you, and you've got to adapt to that. You might not get many opportunities, or you might get a few, so be ready for both.
How did you come up with your captain?
First thing for me is I look at that as the on-field captain, the captaincy. Are they successful as captain? How hard do they work? Are they respected by the opposition? And obviously I've mentioned before with Scott Scooter, it's easy because there's a few Scots. Scooter is that he's all of those. We've got a great relationship, and he's the man.
Yeah. Did you allow him, I think I heard you say, but did you allow him to select his vice captains, or did you have a hand in that as well?
Oh no, for sure. I gave him plenty of time to think about the role, and he talked to Smiley, as you do if you're a Barrett.
Yep.
God bless the Barretts, and he went through the process, and he's a deep thinker, and he was when he came back, he was extremely grateful for the opportunity, humbled and ready to go. The period of time and the captaincy and the success he had with the Crusaders was a great opportunity for him to step up and where he's at in his age. He's ready.
I feel like if you're asked to be the All Blacks captain, you just say yes straight away. Or is that not the case? Because clearly he went away and thought long and hard about it. Did you ever think he might say no?
No, I just know how he works. I think if he would have said no straight away, that would have been different. Like, he was nodding when I asked him, sorry, and we had the conversation, and he goes, yep. I've just got to talk to a couple of people, and he did. That's just the way he works. People are different, and yeah.
How conscious did you have to be when selecting the team of your association with the Crusaders and making sure that there was no suggestion that you were just picking guys who you had a great knowledge of from your time at the Crusaders? Did that come into your mind at all?
Well, I'm picking the best players. I think that's the key thing. If they're whatever jersey they're wearing, they're the best players for that position in our country. Obviously, there's going to be combinations and experience, but that was my mindset. Pick the best player. We've got a really good balanced squad, and you always have people challenge your thoughts. The way we set it up with our selection and our criteria, with the selection, with the coaching staff doing it. And Smithy had to cast an eye on it when he need to, and we had discussions. So, look, I think it's really, really balanced. And I think if you're a coach and you've coached a team, it's naturally people ask that question, isn't it?
Yeah.
The last coach probably had the same question as the last coach had the same question, so that you're doing your job well.
I guess because I think people just assume, and I'm sure it's the case, that you have got a deeper relationship with guys who you've guided for nearly a decade in black and red. You know what makes them tick. You know what they're capable of. So I guess it would be natural in many ways to say, you know what, I know what that guy's about. I'm not quite sure about that guy. If it's a flip of the coin, you take the guy you know, don't you?
Yeah. There's a bit of, I suppose, there's a bit of unconscious bias, or there's a natural bias towards people you know, and you've had success and trust, but it's still got to be earned. Yeah. I think that's the first thing, and so with the squad that we've picked, it's been earned.
And what about guys who you've worked with and had a long relationship with? Yeah. In fact, I'll give you a specific example. David Havili, leaving him out of this squad. Yeah. How difficult a conversation was that?
Just an honest one, really clear. What he needs to do, how, to get into the squad and why we've done it. So it was simple as that. Look, he appreciates it, but because you're honest with people for a long period of time, you build that trust, and he acknowledged it. He probably hadn't put himself in a position to be in that four, and there's a couple of players playing great footy, and that's how hard it is with the All Blacks.
Why didn't you select Hoskins Sotutu?
As I've said before, it's important I understand and repeating what I've said before.
That's fine, no, but just pretend it's for the first time.
Look, in Test football, it's very, very physical with the ball and without the ball, and so especially with the loose forwards, it's the ability to influence on both sides. The pressure cycles that you're on, the ability to be tackling for long periods of time. Your work rate off the ball is really, really important. So there's conversations I've had, and we pick players that we believe can achieve that.
Is it fair to say that Ardie Savea is likely to be the starting number 8, and therefore anybody else in the number 8 position is naturally going to be a bit of a backup anyway?
Oh, he's World Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Let's start there.
Good player.
He can play footy.
Yeah.
He's a great influence, great leader. Like, he's awesome around the environment. And look, it's highly likely he's going to start in the team. And like what he did at the World Cup, and he's done over the last few years of influence on and off the field is very critical.
Tell us about the brief that you gave to each of your assistant coaches around selection. I spoke to Jason Holland on the radio at the beginning of the week, just after the team was named. He said, I got the midfield backs. Scott Hansen got halfbacks and first fives. You still had the power to veto, though, presumably, did you?
Yeah, that's why you're the head coach. You know, like,
Yep.
you hear go if things don't go well, and you get the opportunity to make the calls, and there's going to be always a debate along the way. And look, 95% of them we agreed, and it's like most things. It's those last couple that you go deep on, and then if you have to make a call, you do.
You've got Rugby Championship and then the end of year tour. How many guys you reckon you'll need this year? 40?
Yeah, on average, we looked at the numbers. There's somewhere between sort of 40, maybe to 44, if it's a little bit more difficult. But so there's going to be opportunities. You know, the squad's going to be. We got 3 different squads this year. We're going on an incredible end of the year tour, as you know, and there's an AB's 15 as well. So there's a lot of selections, a lot of opportunities for people to play and get themselves in a black jersey.
How do you assess the depth of actually, I'll give you a couple of positions. Lock. We've lost Sam Whitelock, Brodie Retallick. We almost lost Patrick Tuipulotu, but incredibly, his powers of recovery were beyond what any of us imagined. How do you assess our depth at lock forward?
Yeah, it's interesting when you do like 2 in a row, like 2 at the same time. Sorry, the highest quality, and you do look and reflect. And obviously, with Petty coming in 40 odd tests, you've got Scooters on 60 odd, and the Josh Lord's been injured through majority of the year. And test locks are big. They're big. They're tall men, or they're extremely mobile. And you look at the Irish second row, just the incredible mobility of it. So, look, that's one area. Like, and obviously with Petty coming back, made a massive difference for us. But we've got an emerging players program that we tag in. We've looking at them on and off field. We're trying to fast track them as possibly we can to make sure they come through and get the size on. They get the aerial skills that required. A lot of them, tall men take time. They're a little bit longer than others. They can develop late. Sam Darry's in with us. He's the same height as Sam Whitelock, got good footwork. He's got a great engine. So him just being in this week and being around an injury recovery is, he'll just grow and he'll come quick.
And by comparison, there seems to be any number of loose forwards you could have chosen.
Yeah.
Your old position. You must love watching all the 6, 7s and 8s running around, are you?
Oh, the quality, the depth, the different skill set, the trademarks they've got, things that they go back to, their strengths, under the heat of the game. And, like Peter Laikai is a prime example. What a season, breakout season for him. Great both sides of the ball. So quick in the line out. His ability to play 7, 8 in 2 positions. And that's a great thing about the loose forward group that we've got here. They all can play 2 positions. Especially if you're going to be on the bench. If you're going to come off the bench, you've got to play a couple or 3. Yeah.
Do you think the days of a lock loose forward utility are gone, or is that still a thing?
Yeah, look, I think Shannon Frizzell was a prime example of that. Sima Penny-Finau can do it, or the other way around. Scooter can go to 6 if required, which he's done many times, just because you have your locking stock. So yeah, look, you've still got hybrid players. You've got players who can play in a couple of positions. Look at the South Africans, you can go number 8 and hooker. And I think it's really critical as you get closer to World Cup cycles. Your 33 that you pick, and the versatility and the ability to play 2 or 3 positions will get you in the squad. You
mentioned the World Cup there, and I had that written down. How much of what you do in 2024 is with an eye to the next Rugby World Cup in 2027?
Look, I think the importance of the black jersey is you win and develop. There's a little bit of expectation that comes with it, and I'm well aware of that. And so it's important you win the test match in front of you, but grow people, give them opportunities, get them in combinations, and so they over you set them up to succeed over the next 4 years. Try them. Are they test footballers? Can they handle it? Can you? The weeks are big, the expectations high, the pressure's high, and we get them ready for it, and then opportunities for them when we find out, and some people surprise you.
What about guys who you aren't sure will make it to 2027? They're in their 30s, and there is some guys in your squad with a lot of experience who is everybody who's been picked this week. Do you think that they'll be eligible or available in 2027, all going well?
Oh, it's a good question. Without going through the 30 odd that we're here off the top of my mind, oh look, it's amazing how old you can get, with no joint injuries in your career, the longevity you can get after looking after your body, the sports science, the recovery is incredible, and they're playing good rugby. Look at the South African team. They had a lot of older, mature players that had great leadership, and even the last All Black squad that went over, still playing good footy. Dane Cole, look at his contribution on and off the field. So you need them for sure. Look, I can't answer that right now, 4 years out. But I'm sure there are, and there won't be, yeah.
Just a couple more before we take a break. How much of what was so successful for you at the Crusaders is transferable into the All Blacks environment?
Well, the culture and leadership stuff, and like on-field coaching, that's how I sort of break it up, those three areas. You've got to get your game right, along with your leadership, how do they drive the team on and off the field, and then also the cultural bit. What's your identity, who you are, what are you playing for, what do you care about, and your roles and responsibilities, and that comes with the cultural, the people side of it. So a lot of that transference comes along, and it's a black jersey. We're taking it to a whole country now. We've got a great responsibility that we've been given by our ancestors and the people that have played in our jersey before, and all the fans that have been with us along the way. So it's just a lot bigger.
If I'm just trying to think of the right way to ask this question, but if someone looked down from above and wasn't able to see whether you were the Crusaders coach or the All Blacks coach, would they notice a difference? Do you think you'll be different in an All Blacks environment than you were in the Crusaders environment?
What do you think?
Well, I think you probably will be. I'm interested to know how, though.
I'm still the same person. I'm not going to, the energy I bring every day and the enjoyment of it, and, we just had a couple of hours training, and I'm walking around observing, chipping in when I need to, giving a little bit of feedback to the coaches, so just using my eye. But because of the breadth and width of it, the on-field and off-field stuff, we've got a commercial manager now and a rugby manager. We've got 2 CEOs in our organisation. There's a couple of hundred staff, so it's bigger. To give you context, I don't know, 5, 7 lawyers, it's big. So you need incredible coaching group around you and incredible management, and they have to be world leading. They truly do. So, I do my thing, but you have to give ownership and trust to so many people to go and own their role and make the players, or get the players prepared for, to be the best they can.
Last question before the break is around how big it is and how little time you have. How do you work out the best use of each day and each hour? I mean, you've given us an hour. This is incredible. I know you're so busy. But how do you work out the best use of every hour in your day?
Look, you've got to have time for people. It's number one. And you've got to get your planning done early. And then it's getting time in front, eyes on eyes, around the opportunities when you're eating, the connection piece on and off, being a step ahead looking, not what that day is, but the next week is, and a couple of weeks. When you start getting into NPC and you've got guys playing, you're looking at the schedule for the NPC, you've got all the injured guys that are coming back and forward. You're starting to work with Clayton McMillan around the 8 All Blacks 15. You're starting to share, so there's a lot of big picture stuff that comes along with it, and I love it. I could really enjoy it. I love forecasting, being ahead, not just, like I said, from now until the end of the year. Yeah.
Our guest at the New Zealand Campus of Innovation and Sport, of course, is 1:30 on News Talk ZB. Got another 15 minutes or so with Scott Robertson here. Let's go to the phones and get some questions from our audience. Stuart, your question for Scott Robertson.
Oh, thanks, gentlemen, for the opportunity. Coach, I know it's not a good thing to jump ahead to future test matches. But I'm just thinking about the Rugby Championship and the 2 test matches coming up in South Africa. I noted that the South Africans employed a situation where they had 8 forwards in the reserves. I think they called it like an 8-0 split. And it occurs to me that you could almost, with their big forwards, you could almost have 2 lots of forwards in an 80-minute test match. I know it's a gamble, but do you fear something like that, or do you see some merit in an 8-0 split, sir?
Yeah, good question. Thanks, Stuart. Thanks for calling in. It's an 8. I'm not sure about a 8. Sometimes it's 7-1 or a 6-2 split, but yeah, that's a whole 4-pack. Jason Ryan wants it, actually.
I bet.
Once he's heard this, he'll probably employ it. But look, I think especially in South Africa, that's their strength. You know, they've the impact that they can bring on. Personally, if you lose it back early, it makes things a little bit difficult. You've got to lose forward on the wing, potentially. But let's just talk about the trip to South Africa. It's a hell of an opportunity and a hell of a test for us to go to Joburg, get down to Cape Town. We've been to Cape Town for 7-8 years. They don't like us playing down there, so to open that up, and a lot of Kiwis are coming over because it's special. That's the special part. Those are getting up in the middle of the night memories, aren't they, from a young kid to watch some great heroes of ourselves, All Blacks, to come from behind. Big long drop kicks. We've had everything over there, so it's going to be a special couple of weeks for us.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Stuart. Appreciate it. Faye, you've got a question for Scott Robertson about his name, I think, or his nickname.
Yes, I have, but before I start, could I please just congratulate Scott on his lovely doco on TV at the moment called Razor, and I've been watching it. I think his next career might be in TV. Oh. Just before I start, I'm 94 years of age, and I've been watching the Canterbury team ever since, well, I can't remember when. Robbie Deans was playing fullback then, and etc. But I've always followed the Crusaders, absolutely love them, and congratulations when you had them, and I hope you're as successful as the All Blacks. Now, the question I was going to ask you is how you got the name Razor. And the other one is, do you get annoyed at the amount of people, and they're so-called in the media as well, who keep calling you Robinson?
Oh, like you, Faye. You're right on. Yeah, look, that doco, get me sick of myself, actually. But yeah, it was done a while back, and I think people appreciate it. I actually can't watch it. I can't watch myself do that sort of stuff. So I'm glad people are enjoying, so thank you. And look, the nickname, well, it's a long story. Somebody else gave me another nickname which I didn't like, so I gave myself my one, which is stuck, fortunately. And what happened was we had a guy, David Knox and Pat Howard did a 1-2 cup for the Brumbies. It was 1996. The Crusaders were playing at Lancaster Park then, and I threw my shoulder and cut him in half. Like, it was a good tackle. It was pretty impressive. And I got off and just the shoulder off, and one of the boys said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, just dusting off the blade." And he said, "What do you mean?" And I said, "Oh, the old razor blade, cut him in half," and through a little bit of branding, a bit of a song and a dance that stuck. So there's the story.
I love it. Thank you, Faye, for your call and your lovely words as well. Let's go to Pete. Pete, what's your question for the All Blacks coach?
Yeah, g'day. Hey, I was just wondering what he sees as the makeup for the halfback first five combination with Cortez, Radama and D-Mac, or does he see Bodie at fullback, or is Stephen Perifetti going to start there? The makeup there, I think, is really key. They've played together during the season, and they know each other really well. And I think D-Mac will just keep him calm while he is here if he does get his chance. Not to say that Finlay's great, but are you looking at combinations there, or is it going to be something else depending on the makeup of the English team.
Yeah, thanks, Pete. Can I ask you a question? Was he from Waikato?
No, I'm not actually.
Ooh, okay. Just, I'll tell you what, everywhere you go, everyone's a selector.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, whole local top. But yeah, good question. Obviously Tuesday we'll definitely find out. But you do look at combinations, and someone like a Cortez Ratama who's reminds me of Taraku Barlow. He's a competitor. He works so hard off the ball. His inside running. He's great at his craft. Look, Scotty Henson. He's been working with him from afar. All the halfbacks around New Zealand, and he's really, really impressed. And that combination with D-Mac is important. Look, I think TJ Perenara is playing some footy at the moment. Come back off an injury like that at that highest level just puts in perspective what an athlete and a person he is. So, look, we've got some choices to make there, and we'll see you Tuesday with the selection, Pete.
Good man, Pete. Thanks for your question. Let's move on. David, you've got a question for Razor?
Yeah, what's happened to the drop kick?
What has happened to the drop kick, David wants to know, Razor?
Jeez. Good question. The drop kick. Are we going to practice one in the next couple of days now, after you just mentioned that? Oh, look, there's a time and place for it. Obviously, England have been good at it, haven't they? They won a World Cup game off the back of it. You've got to have it there. You've got to put it in your bank, and to make sure it's 3 points. It's just earned, just like you do with the penalty. So, look, we've won games on it before. So, yep, it's on the list.
Rest assured, David, the drop kick is there. Tim, your question for Razor?
Hey, kia ora, Razor. Just wondering, what was the reasoning behind only picking 3 specialised locks?
Yeah, good. Look, with the squad of 32 and the Sima female that can cover lock, and just the injuries at that time, we felt that was our best mix. And because we can bring in injury cover, he brought a young guy in, like a Sam Derry, so it gave us our fourth, and that was the reasoning behind it. And also we've got some quality loose forwards as well. So we've got the next one coming through, and it's 3 experienced second rowers.
Let's go to Tony. What's your question, Tony?
Yeah, Piney. Scotty, what do you say to your team when they don't follow instructions?
Who are we talking about here? Are you suggesting someone else in the household? No. No.
Maybe the Crusaders or maybe the All Blacks, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, you have to repeat. Obviously, if they're not delivering, it's either you look at yourself first. I think that's the first. But how are you delivering the message? Why isn't it getting across? And then probably the big thing is check for clarity and understanding. And if it doesn't still keep working, just give them an opportunity somewhere else.
Thanks for your call, Tony. Let's go to Mark. What have you got as a question, Mark?
Good afternoon. First of all, congratulations, Razor, on your appointment, and congratulations for picking TJ. Jason's already asked one of the questions for me. I'm a Blues supporter.
Okay.
The season they've had, what does Hoskin really have to do to get in? And the other one, on a lesser note maybe, is Riccatelli.
All right, Hoskins, Tutu and Riccatelli both missed the cut this time. Do they are they in the picture still?
Yeah, look, Hoskins, as I had the conversation, I talked to him through the year, and I showed him what was required. So, even talk about individual conversations on the radio, but so he knows. Of course, there's an opportunity to get back. And I mentioned a lot before around the areas, the wide areas, and Riccatelli. Yeah, look, he was in the conversation. Looked at him closely. Look, I coached him through 20s, know him personally, and we just believe these 3 hookers are the best for us moving forward.
All right, and one final question on the phones. Another Mark. Hi, Mark.
Hey, Piney. Hey, Razor. Yeah,
Hey.
just a general question. What does success look like at the end of Razor's reign as All Black coach?
Oh, kia ora. It's like a job interview. Good question. Success looks like we've got a team that can adapt and win the test match in front of them. Great depth in our squad, so guys can come in and out and play different positions. as we travel around the world. That's what success looks like for us.
Good on you, Mark. Thanks for your question. Thanks for all your questions. I've got a couple more before we knock it on the head. You've got other places to be, Razor. Ben O'Keefe's been in camp. I saw a photo of Ben O'Keefe.
And Paul Williams.
And Paul Williams as well. So what's the strategy or the rationale behind that?
Yeah, it's great. It's important. Like, they adjudicate the game, don't they? So you need to be connected. You understand what the rulings are, the interpretation, because we've got, laws, as they call it, interpretation of laws. And that sometimes can be frustrating for people and for us. So we're trying to make as clear as possible as we possibly can. They keep us consistently updated. Look at the ref that we've got in front of him. What is his personality? How does he ref? And he gets on field with us, and he educates. We have some tough trainings, physical training. So he gets the whistle in his hand as well.
How much scrutiny do you expect in this role?
As much as any other All Black coach.
Compared to the scrutiny you received as Crusaders coach, how elevated is it?
Oh, obviously extremely elevated. The expectation, as I mentioned before, is high. The responsibility of the role, it's something I've prepared myself as for the last 11 years as a head coach. I've set myself up like a player does. You spend trying to get as many experience as you can. From coaching my club side to my NPC side to the super side, it's naturally the progression and up, and all those experiences help you, to deal with the scrutiny. The biggest thing is I've got to know who I am, who I need around me, and then there's an element of I'm going to enjoy it, but I've just got to own it as well. Then that's the biggest thing if it works or doesn't.
Do you have a close inner circle of people outside of rugby?
Yeah. Yep. I've got 2 or 3 people that I talk as mentors for the rugby side of it, and 1 or 2 on the outside of it. What do they see? How's the messaging? How am I coming across? So, on field, like I was talking about, my own personal leadership, how I lead myself, and then also just someone to put a bit of perspective on life, because, it's going to come in some capacity, and it's always good to talk. That's how I work. I need to talk through it with somebody, and it just clears my head. And
in terms of the guidance you take, so there are certain people who, everyone's got an opinion, as you know.
And that's a beautiful thing. I think we need that. Yeah. You've got to embrace that. People, selecting Riccatellis and they're selecting Cortez Ratama, awesome. When you lose that, that's the essence of what New Zealand rugby is about. That's the DNA, the connection that people have got an opinion that connects them to our beautiful black jersey, and that sets us on the world stage.
You excited?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The emotions go. You sort of, I'm really big focus on getting the week right, so I can enjoy that, so we can prepare. So a lot of my focus goes on to the preparation, not so much the outcome. I know it's cliche, and once I get the process right, I can enjoy it much more.
All right, just to finish this facility, how cool, eh?
Yeah. Look, Kevin and Malcolm, who had the vision to bring this alive. It's pretty incredible. A lot of people have visions and putting it into action, and it's still growing. The hut's thriving out here. I haven't spent much time before out here, but it works. It's 2 minutes to everywhere. It feels like home. The food, the bedrooms, the green room, and guess what? It was the greatest day ever in Wellington this morning. It was balmy. It was like 20 degrees, and then it rained as we're walking off the field. So perfect timing.
All right. Message for the fans, finally. Message for the fans.
Oh, look, yeah. Our catchphrase for everything is together we walk, and we want to do this together. We want to bring everyone together, and just like the opportunity people walked towards and embrace the challenges ahead. That's what our ancestors did, and that's what we'll do, and we're going to have some fun.
Fantastic. Razor, thanks for taking the time. It's been entertaining, instructional, educational. I know you've got somewhere else to be. Thanks for taking the time to join us this afternoon.
Cheers, Barney. Thanks, everyone.
Scott Robertson, All Blacks coach here on News Talk ZB.
For more from Weekend Sport with Jason Pine, listen live to News Talk ZB weekends from midday, or follow the podcast on iHeartRadio.